Hi. Okay, lesson one, self-introduction. This is your first day of meeting your students. Make sure that you greet them as they enter your classroom. I like to stand at the door and welcome them in individually. I always greet my students with a folder, notebook, and few other supplies, and say, "This is yours." It gives your program a credibility. I also label my classroom, door, window, wall, desk, and so forth. I also like to tell them to sit wherever they want. And then, of course, I change that if classroom management becomes a challenge. And because first day is okay, they let them feel comfortable. And then I show them around. I tell them, this is where our books are, and I do have leveled books, a lot of beginning readers. I don't know if you're familiar with Reading A to Z. I print out books from Reading A to Z and I fold them, and sometimes I ask my students to help me fold them. And I put them in bins and I label them according to their levels. So there is a corner for reading. There is another corner for advanced readers. That's when they um, pick up a book and pick up a reading task. Um, I also tell them about the no-go area, which is my desk. This way we set boundaries. I show them classroom rules. I usually have them on the wall. We'll talk later on about those classroom rules. I adopted TPRS, very simple rules. Um, I take a picture of them individually. I tell them I need to remember your name. So I ask them first to write their names on a label, a sticker label, and then they have to wear it on their shirt. And then I take a picture of them, and that's how I remember them by names. Um, I don't use the other language that they speak, and that's deliberate because they need to know that I can only speak English. I tell them, look, I speak Arabic fluently. If you start speaking Spanish, majority of my students are Spanish speakers. You speak Spanish, I speak Arabic, and then no one understands. So let's stick to English. So make it a priority um, that you spend time getting to know your students at least the first 15-20 minutes. Okay, so the lesson is structured around what I mentioned earlier in my previous PowerPoint. It's I do, and I do, no, well, it's we do. I do it with the students, and then you do. That's when they break out in small groups, and I do is the individual practice. I put a picture of a duck because you are that duck. You appear to be gliding on water. However, there's a lot of paddling underneath. You are assessing. You are you are assessing all the time. You're watching them, you're listening to them, and you are gathering data. This is your first day. This is your first time meeting those students that you're going to have for the rest of your academic year. Objective, I never start by telling them today we are going to, unless you want to please your administrator. There's a reason for that. The element of surprise. Think about it. Your mom never, or whoever taught you language, never sat across from the dining table and told you, today we are going to learn vocabulary words about food. They just put the food in front of you, the utensils, and they picked up the food in front of you, by the gesturing part, and they would just say spoon, a fork, pick up, eat, and drink, da da da. So that's to me acquisition in its organic form. But I did put the words for you. Now, this is what we are teaching in this lesson. And if you want to tweak that, it's up to you. There is so much flexibility in this. So today we're going to start with the first TPRS lesson, and it is about self-introduction. Okay, self-introduction. Have this introduction written on the board before your students get to class. And it's here in a blueprint. Hello, my name is Miss Safar. I love cats and I like to swim. I am from New York. Nice meeting you. So it's very simple. Very few words, but we're going to extract a lot of learning slash teaching from this. So you're going to read that aloud, just like I did. You can draw a heart, or you can use the heart that I have here. Those images are all provided for you in the resource attachment. This and these, well, wait, the heart and the swim are actually moving images, but once you copy them, you'll know what I'm talking about. And I wrote the words underneath, and you need to do the same thing too. When you show them an image, make sure there is print that goes with it, even if they don't know how to read yet. You still want to immerse them. You still want them to have the exposure. It may not make any sense to them, you might say, but this is how the mind works. It gathers information and then it synthesizes. That's when, the mind puts things together. So you can share some pictures of you if you have them, and I encourage you to do that. At some point, I started coming up with my own very simple PowerPoint presentation to show them my children, my grandchildren, and of course my cat. Now, moving forward. You are going to start questioning. So you're going to say, after you read that, you just turn around and tell them, is my name Miss Safar or Miss Brown? Of course, they don't know the answer. Um, you can just say, is my name Miss Brown? And then, no way. Again, you are teaching them something else. Yes, it's not there, but it's okay. They're going to get it why you're saying that. Then you're going to say my name and you gesture at yourself or you point at yourself. My name is Miss Safar. It's okay to go slow in your instructions. And they are listening and they are processing and they are watching. At times, I do like to also show them a chart for my and your. But at this point, you just want to do it by showing them. So you can go up to one student and say, your notebook. My notebook? No way. Your notebook. Go to someone else and grab that student's pencil folder, whatever, and just say, my folder? No way. Your folder. Go to another student and do the same thing with another item that student have. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, on this page, I'll try to make it a little shorter for you than my previous presentations. Um, Okay, so the circling questions. Circling questions is pretty much a very simple formula, and it's highlighted for that reason. So they are 8 questions. Now, do you have to stick to 8 questions? No. You know your students better than I do. Just understand that there is a progression. The simplest questions are the ones you start with, the yes, no. Okay, even if they don't know it, you model answering those questions, and then you check halfway, and then you continue. If you check halfway and your students still don't get it, then you continue with yes, no, until they are comfortable enough to move them forward. So you gauge, meaning you assess informally as you teach the lesson and determine whether you should move forward with your questions or you should just stick around for a little longer. Or maybe you should stop altogether because they are completely lost, and that's okay. So the first one is similar to what I said earlier. Is my name Miss Safar? Yes. No. Is my name Miss Brown? Okay, you are pointing at yourself. I am Miss Safar. You can go up to a student and say, you are Miss Safar? Are you Miss Safar? No way. Make it funny, okay? Your fourth question is your follow up. Is my name Miss Safar or my name is Miss Brown? So you made it a little longer, but now you want to figure out whether your students understand my name is, right? Okay, I also asked another, and that's just an example. Does Miss Safar like dogs or like cats? Does Miss Safar love cats or love dogs? Um, then moving forward with the questions, you are going to switch to WH questions. What does Miss Safar like? Does Miss Safar like cats or dogs? Does Miss Safar like to swim or run? You can show them picture of swim and the picture for run, and you are again teaching them both words if you think about it, and they have to negotiate which one they need to know in order to answer your question. So there is a lot of visuals and gesturing involved. The like, the love, use color palettes. I go to the hardware store and I pick up my favorite colors, the blues and the oranges and the reds and the greens and the teals. They show different shades and I just use them for synonyms. And this way they know. Or draw charts, one for like, one for love. Once they see that thumbs up for like and the heart for love, they'll make the association and they'll know the difference. Uh, my seventh question is going to be fill in the blanks. Miss Safar blank who and blank cats. Okay, write it on the board and then ask them, what does Miss Safar like? What does Miss Safar love? Let's go back to the story. The story is very short. And point at the text and show them where the word like and where the word love, so they make the connection and see if they can give you the answer. Number 8, and this is when you want to this is a question that you ask when you want to introduce them to a new part of the story or just a new grammar structure. Okay, use this as your seed story, even though it's about Miss Safar, but it is really self-introduction altogether, because tomorrow you're going to teach them about food and drink vocabulary, yet you are going to refer to your self-introduction story again, and we'll see what that means. With that being said, the question would be, how often does Miss Safar swim? How many times does Miss Safar swim? Does Miss Safar swim every day? Does Miss Safar swim in her own pool? Does Miss Safar swim in a public pool? Again, you ask all these questions. Of course, no one is going to give you any answer, and you just shrug your shoulder and say, "We don't know." And that's pretty much the end of teaching the lesson so far. Now, can you elaborate on this lesson even more? Sure can. And I did put in the lesson plan how you can do the same thing for I like and for I love and I am from. Um, Again, let that be your judgment whether you want to teach all of it one day or you want some of it today, some of it tomorrow, and the rest of it the third day. It really is entirely up to you. That's pretty much your judgment call. I'm giving everything and I'm front loading everything, and then it's up to you how you want to chunk it. Okay, on our last part of this lesson, um, you make sure that you are asking students to tell you at least three things before you transition to the next part of your class meeting that day, whether you want to do some movement activity, some mini grammar lesson activity, some read aloud, whatever activity that you have scheduled for that day, because you can't teach TPRS all day long. It's exhausting for both, for you as a teacher and for the students as learners. But have an exit ticket. This way, they are um, attentive to the learning, and it's a way for them to retrieve information that they just learned. Now, if they don't have any literacy skills, maybe they can gesture it for you. Or if they have some artistic skills, although they don't really have to be perfect artists, they can draw some stick figures and show you what they just learned. Again, I like to use a first day chart and I write my name on it. I show the like and love and the country where I come from. And when I learn something about them in class during my presentation, I go ahead and write it on that chart uh, to honor the information or the identity of that student. Again, all these images in this lesson are provided for you in the attached resource part of this class.